Let's get up and praise the Lord. Hey, yeah. Come on. Oh, what a glorious feeling to live and reign with my God for eternity. Jesus, give us thy healing. And through his word, I know I have been truly set free. Though I suffer temptation and trials of fire, Lord, you said to think is not strange. Just as the servants who all died before us, we know the dead in Christ will rise when we change. In a twinkling of an eye, we meet you in the sky when we prepare to
Okay, now we're going to have a reading of the law. We're going to start Exodus the 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor.
Now let's go into Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Let's go in Revelation chapter 22, verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
I want to thank God for allowing us to read his law, which should be read every Sabbath day. If we should walk in them, salvation is guaranteed. We're going to get right to this lesson, sisters and brothers. This is a lesson with a lot of information on it. So we're going to get right to it. Now, this is Black History Month, sisters and brothers. This is the second leg. Black History Told by the Prophets, Part 2, Slavery. Black History Told by the Prophets, Part 2, Slavery. I keep saying the only reason that I did this, sisters and brothers, because all the black history that we know about is slave history. And we know about George Washington Carver. And we know about the peanut butter. Underground Railroad. Toby. That's some history, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But we have a rich history, sisters and brothers. But because we sinned against God, we're going to show you that God put us in the condition that we are in. Last week we showed you beyond the shadow of a doubt that Israel is black. And only Israel, and the only people that are part of Israel are black. You don't have no Puerto Ricans. You have no Mexicans. You have no Native Americans. These Hebrews that are teaching this don't have a clue of what's going on. But we're going to show you why we're here. Because this slavery that we went into and the servitude that we are under is not because people are stronger than we are. It's because we sinned against our God. And the Lord gave us an opportunity to be on the top at all times. So we're going to look at this. We're going to start at Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 28th. And this is the conversation that God had with Israel before we got into the promised land. We had just got out of Egypt, and we was on our way to the promised land. But what happened? God gave us the do's and the don'ts. And then he told us the consequences if we don't pay attention to him. We're going to start this in Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. But we have a whole lot of information to give you today, sister and brother. Because when you make a claim that you are somebody, I think you should put the proof on the table. And you make a claim that you have been enslaved, you put the true proof on the table. And we're going to show you, sisters and brothers, it just don't include America. This is a worldwide thing. 28:1, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
Go ahead.
The Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Now listen what it said. Now, if you just listen to me and do my commandments, I'm going to make you the top nation on earth. You're going to be above everybody. But in order for you to do that, you have to listen to me, to the Lord your God. Go ahead.
Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
In short, he said, if you obey my voice, everything going to be blessed. Your cattle going to be blessed. Your city's going to be blessed. If you're in the country, you're going to be blessed. If you're in the city, you're going to be blessed. Your children are going to be blessed. But we look at our children, what's going on with them now. We wonder about it, don't we? Well, you're going to find out, so you don't have to wonder much longer after the day. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and go ahead.
And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord.
And all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord. Now, we got the name, but we didn't obey the voice. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be afraid of thee.
Now, they're kind of afraid of us anyway, but it's for the wrong reason. Skip down to verse 10 and go ahead.
Verse 12.
Verse 12 and go ahead.
The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow.
So the Lord's going to bless you, give you your rain, give you good crops, give you good commerce, give you good everything, and you are going to be the financiers of the earth. You're going to loan to everybody else, and nobody going to loan to you because you won't need it. You will be the financiers. They'd come before you with their portfolio in their hand trying to get a loan. Only if you had listened. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be above only.
Big,
and thou shalt
that's
not
a big
be
word, ain't
yes.
it? And thou shalt be above only. I can't even wrap my mind around that. Not us being above only. Go ahead.
And thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them.
All we had to do was listening. But we didn't, sisters and brothers. So the Lord gonna drop the other shoe. If you don't do what I say. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
He's going to reverse it, sisters and brothers. Instead of all the blessings running you down and you can't get away from it, he said, now if you don't obey, all these curses going to come upon you and you can't get away from them. Go ahead and read.
Cursed shall thou be in the city. Cursed shall thou be in the field.
Go ahead.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
So everything going to be cursed about you. You, your children, and all your commerce, whether you're a farmer or whether you're a business person. Curse. Skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
25.
Verse 25, rather, and go ahead.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them.
Go ahead.
And shall be removed unto all the kingdoms of the earth.
Now, sisters and brothers, so once you go out, your enemies are going to beat you. You're going to go out one way at them and they're going to scatter you and say, you shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Doesn't matter, no matter where there's a civilization, there's going to be some Israelites there. And once you find them, you're going to know that they're Israelites because their conditions are going to be the same. No matter what color of people you might find yourself under, the Lord says you're going to be removed. Skip down to verse 36 and go ahead.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Go ahead.
And there shall thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
So now, nations which I've never known, we've never known. Our kings, because we got some royal seed among Israel, he even probably got some in here. But when you're in captivity, you don't exist. So he said, going to bring you, and you're going to serve other gods, wood and stone. Look at us as a people, what we serve. We serve the God of Easter. We serve the God of Christmas. You understand? We serve the God of the sun worshipers. We didn't do that when we was in our own land. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
You know, people are going to be always astounded at your condition. And you're a proverb and a byword. You know what that is? That is a object of disdain. They don't like you. And they're going to have them bywords are going to be pet names they're going to hang on you. And we got plenty of them, don't we? Whole lot of them. We ain't going to get into it. What verse was that?
We just finished 37.
Skip down to verse 41 and read it.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
That happened to us. Go ahead. Skip down to verse 43 and go ahead.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
See, when Israel come out of Egypt, it was a mixed multitude. People out of other nations. They was called strangers because they was not Israelites. But the Lord said that stranger, he didn't name one. He said that stranger that's within you. That's coming among you, sisters and brothers. He's going to come up very high and you're going to come down very low. You look around here, even in this hemisphere, everybody just done passed right by us like we backing up. We buy our food from people that don't look like us. Who raised, and the people that raise it don't look like us. We buy cars, we buy homes. In fact, we buy everything from people that don't look like us. Because no matter who it is, we're the only people in the community where the service people don't look like them. Go in the Greek community. Go down in Chinatown. Chinese businesses being patronized by Chinese. That don't happen with us. What verse are we?
We have 44.
Go ahead and read.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
So he done reverse this thing. Now he gonna lend to you, that stranger, whoever he is, and you shall not lend to him. Go ahead.
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Go ahead.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee.
So no matter where you go, these curses are going to follow you down, sister and brother. That's why everybody's running away from you. They build a community. We start going out there. They abandon and go somewhere else. Because they are running away from you because that curse is walking right on in behind you. Can't get away. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
You know what a sign is? That's to identify, ain't it? A wonder and upon thy seed forever. That's why when people tell me that the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans and the American Indians are Israelites, I ask them, how did they get here? Was they brought here as slaves? Sure, the Indians was put on reservation. But then they had their own reservation. They got reparation. They got casinos and everything else. We got nothing. Puerto Ricans didn't come here as slaves, neither did Mexicans. In fact, you go there, you find out that they own slaves. But this is a sign who we are. I ask people all the time. They say, well, how do I know I'm an Israelite? I said, think about it. Whoever you find in this hemisphere, and we got other places we're going to point out too, but anybody in this hemisphere, whoever it was that came here as a slave, you just found Israel. Well, that's black folks. Bingo. What verse?
We have 47.
Go ahead.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart,
Go
with
ahead.
the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things.
Now, is it because you won't serve me and be blessed, you're going to serve your enemies in hunger, in nakedness, and in want of all things. You work all your might, go home real tired, and you ain't got enough money to cover your responsibilities and your bills. And you can't do nothing about it. And you thank your enemy that you let him have a job. Brother, boy, well, that's what the book said. Personally, I don't have none. But the whole thing is, wherever you find yourself, the Lord said you're going to serve him. And you ain't going to serve yourself because you won't serve me. Did you finish that?
No.
Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
You should look at some of them old slave pictures and what happened when it got this iron thing on your neck. You can't even lay down. The Lord said, they're going to do that to you. Skip down to verse 64 and read it.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Now, he's among all people. You know, some of our sisters and brothers that's on the African continent said, look, sometimes the black history leave us out. No, we don't. You living among somebody. They are people, ain't they? And believe me, you don't have no cakewalk. If I had to pick a slave master, I would pick this Gentile instead of the Hamite. Okay? Skip down to verse 66 and go ahead.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
Who is the most likely to be killed anywhere? We are, and we're going to show you some of that, sister and brother. Your life is in balance, you know, in danger all the time. Children go to school, somebody shoot them. Walking on the street, somebody shoot them. When they ain't got nobody else to shoot us, then we youngsters jump up and we shoot one another. We got all kinds. Your life is the cheapest in this hemisphere, and I'm going to show you everywhere else, sister and brother. This is what the Lord brought on us. And look what he said. Skip down to verse 6 to 8. Now, this 6 to 8, he said, you're going to go into Egypt again by ship. But to us, Egypt is house to bondage. Because the Lord told us in Hosea, the nation as a whole is not going to go back down into Egypt. So to us, this Egypt means America and everywhere else we went by ship, because a lot of us ended up in a lot of places. But we're dealing with this, and we're going to go beyond. Read verse 6 to 8 and go ahead.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And that means you're going to go into captivity again by ships. And once you get there, you're going to be sold as male and female slaves, and ain't nobody going to buy you out of it. Who is it that was sold as slaves, sister and brother? Only Israel. People say, well, other people selling slave and slave, not a whole people. Like the Lord had Jeremiah write in Lamentations, said, under the whole heaven it have not been done with any other people that is what have been done to us. Now, we saw the curse and we saw the blessing. Now, let's see which one we fell under. Let's go into Daniel, the 9th chapter. I'm pretty sure you didn't figure it out already. But I'm going to read it to you anyway. Daniel's 9, and we're going to start reading at verse 9. Daniel's chapter 9 and verse 9. Daniel's 9 and 9. Because I used to wonder all the time where I had to call, where this white boy called my dad Atlanta, and I had to call his daddy Mr. Fox. I never could understand that until I run into the Word of God and I started to find out who I was. Then I said, okay, I kind of understand it now. But being that I know who put me here, I don't have no room to dislike anybody. Because if the Lord says something going to happen to you and some people going to do it to you, somebody going to have to do it. It's all that simple. 9 and 9, go ahead.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him.
Go ahead.
Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God to walk in his ways, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
Who?
All Israel.
All Israel have transgressed thy law. Go ahead.
Even by departing.
Go ahead.
That they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us.
Oh, so the curse is poured upon us, isn't it? Go ahead.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
So now, the curse is poured upon us, sisters and brothers, because the Lord told Moses, tell these people and write it in a book. Go ahead and read.
And he had confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us.
Go ahead.
By bringing upon us a great evil.
So who brought this great evil upon us?
The Lord did.
The Lord did. Now, it is unique to Israel. Read the rest of that. Go ahead and read.
For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem.
Now, we're going to show you under the whole heaven, but then if you can't see that far, look in this hemisphere and see who's the thing that is done to us, see if there's been done to anybody else in this hemisphere. Think about it. All that simple. You know, sister and brother, I tell you the real truth. I took issue with my bank I've been banking with for 50 years in a black community. All of the tellers and the administrators were black. I goes out there now, who do I see? Mexicans. I don't have nothing against Mexicans. You understand? I don't have nothing against nobody. But I want to talk banking, my banker is Mexican. If I want to talk loan, I go to another one. If I want to go to the teller, Mexican. in a black community. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wrote to the headquarters of Chase Bank. It's a U.S. bank, and let them know. But the whole thing I'm saying is, sisters and brothers, under the whole heaven, nothing has been done. Nobody have to go through the thing that we have gone through, sisters and brothers. Nobody. And who did this to us? Our God. Let's go into Psalms chapter 44. That's why I tell people, you talk about black history, and they figure that's prejudice. I'm not prejudiced, sisters and brothers. The whole thing is, this is in the Bible. I don't particularly like black history. In fact, I wish there was no color history. I just wish it was man history and it was all good. So what? Did Daniel 9? I stopped it at 12. I made me a change. Okay. Psalm chapter 44. Because, sisters and brothers, when you look at this thing, I'll be so glad when the Lord comes, because the world is getting worse. I don't like seeing suffering with no people. I don't like seeing harm with no people. Because the servant of God should not wish in the hard times on nobody. Psalm 44, we're going to start at verse 9. Psalm 44 and verse 9. 44 and 9. Okay, go ahead.
But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goest not forth with our armies.
Go ahead.
Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves.
Now the Lord is letting you know, we saying, Israel is saying to the Lord, look, you've done this. The Lord has done this. You have made us, expose us to our enemies. You have done this. They didn't do it because they were stronger than us. Go ahead and read what verse?
Verse 11. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen.
Now who did this, sisters and brothers? The Lord did this. They have given us like sheep appointed to meat. Everybody use us, sisters and brothers. We are commodity. Go ahead and read.
Thou sellest thy people for naught, and dost not increase thy wealth by their price.
Go ahead.
Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us.
So you sell us for nothing, and we're a reproach to the people around us. Don't nobody want to be around us. Everybody want to run when we come around. And we are scorned and derision as a people. And we get mad about it. But don't nothing change. But Brother Boy, this is 2022. Ain't nothing changed. Go ahead and read.
Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people.
A byword is one of them pet names, and they're always shaking their head on you. Look at them. Look at them. They breaking in the stores. They hijacking the cars. I'm not saying the other people ain't doing stuff, but yours are the ones that's highlighted. It's all that simple. But who did this? The Lord is the one that did this, sister and brother. The Lord is. Now we're going to go to Songs of Solomon, and we're going to see a conversation between the Lord and his people. Gentiles don't know and strangers don't know that it made this a love story between Solomon and one of them many strange women that they had. This ain't got nothing to do with Solomon and the strange women. And we're going to show you this. Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. Because we're going to let you understand that we are the ones that prevented God from blessing us. We are the ones that made his hand shorten that he won't save us. He didn't put us under a sentence, and we're going to serve every day of it. We're not going to be in it forever, but we are serving every day of it the way he said we're going to serve it. Songs of Solomon, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. We're going to have us a look at this love story between the Lord and his people. Go ahead and read.
The Song of Songs, which is Solomon.
Uh-huh.
Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth,
Uh-huh.
for thy love is better than wine.
Now this him that kissed me is talking about the Lord. It's talking about the people. For his love is better than wine. Go ahead.
Because of the savor of thy good ointment,
Uh-huh.
thy name is as ointment poured forth.
Go ahead.
Therefore do the virgins love thee.
This is thy name is as ointment poured forth. The name of the Lord. If you serve him, is healing. Go ahead and read.
Draw me, we will run after thee.
Uh-huh.
The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee.
Uh-huh.
We will remember thy love more than wine, the upright love thee.
Now, who is this talking about that the upright love? And he said, draw me and we will run after you. That's what Jesus told you. You can't come to the Father, come to me unless the Father draw you.
Right.
And you're drawn by the word of God. But now, the bride is going to kick in. Verse 5, go ahead.
I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem.
I am black, but comely, O you daughters of Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
As the tents of Kedar,
Uh-huh.
as the curtains of Solomon.
Go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black,
Look not upon me because I am black. Go ahead and read.
because the sun hath looked upon me.
Uh-huh.
My mother's children were angry with me.
Now we're going to keep your marker here. We're going to come back. But he said, my mother's children was angry with me. We're going to find out who his mother is and who the children are. But keep your marker here. Let's go into Psalms chapter 69. Back right up to 69th chapter of Psalms. Because you have to put it together like this, sisters and brothers, so it won't be saying, well, that's your interpretation. We don't interpret the word of God at the Israeli God. We just read it. Psalm 69, and we're going to start reading at verse 6, because the Lord, David told you that the Spirit of the Lord spoke by him. I even have a lesson that's called Psalms, the book of Jesus, because this is the Lord that's talking here. And he's talking in this case to the Father. Verse 9, go ahead.
Verse 6.
Verse 6, rather. Verse 6, go ahead.
Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord God of hosts,
Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord God of hosts, go ahead.
be ashamed for my sake.
Be ashamed for my sake. Now this person, he must have some kind of pull with him, don't he? Let not them that wait on you, O Lord of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Go ahead and read.
Let not those that seek thee
Uh-huh.
be confounded for my sake,
Let
O
not-
God of Israel.
Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O Lord God of Israel. He ain't talking for their sake, he said for mine, didn't he?
Right.
Why? But go ahead.
Because for thy sake I have borne reproach. Shame hath covered my face.
He said, because for thy sake I have borne reproach and shame have covered my face. That's why I'm asking you to do good to them for my sake, because look what I have done. I've laid it out for you. Go ahead and read.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren,
I am become a stranger unto my brethren,
an alien unto my mother's children.
and an alien unto my mother's children. Wait a minute. Ain't this the guy said my mother and children was angry with me? He said, I'm an alien to my mother's children. In other words, my mother and children don't like me. Go ahead and read. And they still don't. Go ahead.
For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up,
For the veil of thy house had eaten me up,
and the reproaches of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me.
and the atrocity that they have committed against you, the reprisals have fallen on me. Who is this that said this, sister and brother? This whole thing, we're going to show you who was talking here. Let's go into Romans, the 15th chapter. Romans chapter 15. Because that's why the Lord said, He's going to teach us here a little and there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. So we will let the Bible tell you who's talking. Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 15. Verse 1, read it.
We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves.
So we, those that are strong in the word of God, we're supposed to bear the infirmity of the weak and not to please ourselves. Be like the Lord. Skip down to verse 3 and go ahead.
For even Christ pleased not himself,
But even Christ pleased not himself. Go ahead.
But as it is written,
But as it is written,
the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me.
so that was Christ that's talking, wasn't it?
Right.
But it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee has fallen on me. Who was them? My mother's children. So now we know who was talking here. This is Jesus talking, and he's talking about his mother's children. It's also, he looked upon Israel as his wife. That's why it's a love story. Now let's go back to Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. That's why I told you to keep your marker there. Now we know who's talking here. We're going to start back at verse 6. Songs of Solomon 1 and 6. Okay, go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black.
Because he's black. Now, sun ain't never made nobody black, sister and brother. You might get sunburned. You might get sick, but you ain't never got black from sitting in the sun. Look not upon me because I am black. Go ahead and read.
Because the sun hath looked upon me.
Go ahead.
My mother's children were angry with me.
My mother's children was angry with me.
They made me the keeper of the vineyard.
Uh-huh.
But mine own vineyard have I not kept.
And they made me the keeper of the vineyard, and mine own vineyard have I not kept. Mm-hmm. My mother's children made me keeper of the vineyards. Who is the Lord's vineyards that he have not kept? Well, let's go read it. Let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5. He said, because you guys, y'all have made me the keeper of the vineyards, other vineyard, but my own vineyard I have not kept. So I want to find out who is the Lord's vineyard, because this is the Lord talking here. Isaiah chapter 5, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Isaiah chapter 5, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Isaiah 5 and 1, because you need to know who the Lord is talking about here. Okay, go ahead.
Now I will sing to my well-beloved, a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
So we still going on with the love story, ain't we? The song of my beloved touching his vineyard. Go ahead.
My well-beloved hath a vineyard and a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine.
Go ahead.
And built a tower in the midst of it. And also made a wine press therein.
Go ahead.
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
Now he did everything that it needed to make this vineyard prosper. Isn't that correct?
Right.
He fenced it. First thing, he planted it in a fruitful hill. I'm on a land, of milk and honey. Then he gave choice vines. He planted the good seed. He gave it everything that it's supposed to. And when he looked for a nice, pure grape, he saw wild grapes. Wild grapes ain't planted by nobody. They come up on their own. Go ahead and read.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
He said, I want you to judge between me and my vineyard. Go ahead.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it?
Go ahead.
Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
He said, what could have been done for this vineyard? I gave them everything they needed. I gave them good laws and good statutes. Told them what good foods to eat. He said, so tell me, what is it that I could have, that I didn't do for this vineyard, that I couldn't, in other words, I gave this vineyard everything that it needed. And when I looked for grapes, I saw wild grapes. We're going to find out what that means. Go ahead and read.
And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Who going to do it to his vineyard?
He will do.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to my vineyard. Go ahead and read.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
I will take away the hedges. Go ahead.
And it shall be eaten up. And break down the wall thereof.
Go ahead.
And it shall be trodden down.
And
I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged. But there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
So I'm going to take down the walls. I'm going to remove the hedges. All the beasts or whatever can come in and eat what they want. I'm going to move the walls. I'm going to take away all of my protection. Anything and anybody can come and deal with my vineyard. And I'm going to even command the clouds that it don't rain, no rain on it. In other words, the Lord is pull out all the stops on this vineyard. Go ahead.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
Whoa. Who is this vineyard? The house of Israel. Go ahead and read.
And the men of Judah his pleasant plant.
Uh-huh.
And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression.
And he looked for judgment, but the whole oppression. Israel was possessing Israel. Israel was murdering Israel before we was even contaminated by the laws of other people. We got scripture to show you that we even sold our sisters and brothers. He looked for judgment, and there was oppression. Go ahead and read.
For righteousness, but behold a cry.
He looked for righteousness, but the people was crying for the wrong that was done to them, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink.
Go ahead.
That continue until night, the wine inflame them.
Then that's what we always been, a bunch of partiers, sisters and brothers. We party in the joint. We go to church, we party there. Play the music, jump up and down and everything. Whenever it's over with, everybody go home dumb. But we had a good time at church. You didn't go to church to have a good time. You go to church to find out how to get salvation. So what you're doing is gyrating and doing everything, but you ain't paying attention to what the Lord is doing. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 12. And the harp and the viol and tabret and pipe and wine are in their feast.
Go ahead.
But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hand.
And that's what's going on now. Don't nobody observe the work of the Lord. They don't consider the operation of his hand. They don't. God work it out. Look what he did to us. And he's doing something right now. He put Western and Europe together under 10 nations. Then Russia, he says, he's going to control everything east of the Euphrates, which is Turkey. Everybody's up and down now because Russia is putting her house in order. It is her house because the Lord told Russia, be a shield and a buckler to all them people in the east. We don't know it. The world don't know it. They all upset. We just sitting here because we know the sign. God told us it's going to be walls and rumors of walls. But be not shaken. The end is not yet. So he said, look, we are gyrating and everything else, and we ain't paying no attention to the work of the Lord's hand. Go ahead and read.
Therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge.
So that's why we're in captivity now, because we have no knowledge. And we still refuse. Go ahead.
And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
Now these are the ones that's supposed to be our leaders, our honorable men. And who are honorable men? With Israel, it was the priests, the ministers. So if we don't know nothing, they ain't passing out no water. That's why the multitude is dried up with thirst. Then the Lord tell Nicodemus, you have to be born of the water. The first water you have to be born of is the word. Because nobody's taught you. Your honorable men, the ones that's supposed to stand in the gap for God, they haven't taught you nothing, so we dried up with thirst. Go ahead.
Therefore hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure.
Go ahead.
And their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it.
So, you know, sister and brother, this hell here, hell itself is a state of condition. So it has enlarged itself without number, and we have danced and partied on into it. It's hell when you work all the time and you ain't got enough money to pay your bills. It's hell when you're scared of your own children. Young man walking towards you, ain't got nothing on his mind. The first thing you locking your door because he think you're going to jack your car. You got so many locks on your doors until if your house get caught on fire, by the time you navigate them locks, you're going to get burned up. You're scared of everything. Don't have enough money to cover what you need to cover. But still you labor. So hell have enlarged itself, sisters and brothers. Because the Lord said he gave us everything that we needed. But being that we didn't walk in his laws and keep his commandments, them same laws that we read every Sabbath, he have thrown us in this condition. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. He didn't bring us in and give us, like I said, shoes with no shoelaces on it and say, now you got to find and lace up your shoes. How can you? You ain't got no laces. He gave us the shoes and the laces too. Gave us everything that we needed when he brought us up out of Egypt, sisters and brothers. He didn't bring us out of Egypt and say, now y'all in the open field, fend for yourself. He went out and he took care of business for us. We're going to start at verse 4. Jeremiah 2 and verse 4. 2 and 4. Okay, go ahead.
Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And all the families of the house of Israel.
He said, I want all y'all to listen. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain?
And he asked that question. What sin have your fathers found in me, that y'all done turn your back on me, and have walked after God that are no God, vain gods? What is it that I have done that you will run away from me? He's talking this to his people. Skip down to verse 21 and read it.
Yet I had planted thee a noble vine.
Yet I have planted thee a noble vine.
Wholly a right seed.
How
then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
He said, I planted you a noble vine. You had the best of everything, wholly a right seed, had the best law, you had the best land, you had the best food. Everything was better than everybody else because I wanted the nation to see how blessed you was, so they would come and ask, why y'all so blessed? Because our God blessed us. Why did he bless you? What can we do? Keep these laws. He said, I planted you a noble vine, giving you the best of everything. How have you become the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? I don't know y'all. Skip down to verse 30. Verse 30, and go ahead.
In vain have I smitten your children.
In vain have I smitten your children. Go ahead.
They receive no correction. Your own sword hath devoured your prophets like a destroying lion.
Didn't start in America. No matter what I do to your children, they still won't receive correction. You got guys out here committing crime with home ankle braces on from the jail. Did you sitting at home, they're giving you a chance? Go home, we ain't gonna lock you up. You go home, we're gonna give you an ankle bracelet. You put the ankle bracelet on and go out there and shoot somebody. The correction haven't done anything for you. You refuse to be corrected. Go ahead and read. And that didn't start here in America, but go ahead and read.
O generation, see ye the word of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Have I been a wilderness unto Israel? A land of darkness?
Go ahead.
Wherefore say my people, we are lords. We will come no more unto thee.
This is what Israel is saying to the Lord, to our God, sisters and brothers. They say, we are lords. We ain't going to come back to you, God. We're going to do our own thing. Now, these people that God have blessed have gotten to the point they are smarter than he. The God that we ever done, where we have ever served, is Jesus. You ain't never seen the Father. Israel spits on Jesus. We don't need you. We can go for ourselves. And the better we're off we are, the worse we have gotten. And he said, your own swords have killed your prophets. The strangers didn't kill the prophets of Israel. Israel killed the prophets of Israel. Let's go into Luke the 13th chapter. Luke chapter 13. So you will understand why that the Lord did this to us, and he is still merciful because we should have been killed. Like he did the old world, just wiped them all out. Had he not seen Noah Wouldn't have been no man left to represent man. He had to go back to the ground and come up with something new. But he showed love. He could have wiped us all out like he wiped out Sodom and Gomorrah. But he showed love. But what we do, we kill his prophets. Right. Luke 13 and verse 34. We're going to start at verse 34. Okay, go ahead.
O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killeth the prophets.
O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killeth the prophets. So who killed the prophets?
Israel.
Go ahead.
And stonest them that are sent unto thee.
Go ahead.
How often would I have gathered thy children together as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not.
He said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killeth the prophet and stoneth those that are sent to you. And it have not changed, sisters and brothers. You go and you tell this brother, you got to keep God's commandments. You can't be no adulterer. You can't be no fornicator and call yourself a servant of God. You can't run around bearing false witness and lying on people and killing people. You can't. The Lord said he don't want no homosexuals among the sons and daughters of Israel, and he don't want no prostitutes. But we don't pay no attention to none of that. Yeah. So what has happened? We stone the ones that come and tell us that. And because we did that, look what happened, what has befallen us. Verse 35, read it.
Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And verily I say unto you, ye shall not see me until the time come when ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.
And that ain't going to happen until his feet hit the Mount of Olives. But the Lord said, because of your behavior, truly, your house is left desolate. Somebody else is living in your house now. Let's talk about your land, sisters and brothers. And we're going to show you this because you rebel against God. You say, hey, we're all lords. That's why I look at this Hebrew brothers and sisters run around calling themselves kings, and your wife got to call you Lord. And the women running around calling themselves queen. Queen of what? And Lord of what? You use money with somebody else's face on it. You drive a car that somebody else has built. You walk on pavement that the concrete that somebody else made and laid down. What are you king of? What are you Lord of? It's time to get off that horse. Lord got this, and you rebelled against him, and he forsook you. Let's go into Jeremiah the 12th chapter. See, these things, sisters and brothers, we need to know so we will start to correct our children. They start telling you, the children need to do better. If you teach them the law, they'll do better. But you have got to take that to them, sisters and brothers. Jeremiah 12, because you need to know why God put us under this condition. Lord loved us. He loved our forefathers. He don't like doing what he want to do. But if he told you to do something and you don't do it, he got to do what he said because he cannot lie. Jeremiah 12, and we're going to start reading at verse 7. Jeremiah 12, and we're going to start reading at verse 7. 12 and 7. Okay, go ahead.
I have forsaken mine house. I have left mine heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies.
This is the Lord talking, ain't it? I have forsaken my house. I have left my heritage. I have given my dearly beloved into the hands of her enemies. Why? Go ahead.
Mine heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest.
Go ahead.
It crieth out against me. Therefore have I hated it.
You know when the Lord hated Israel at a time? Yes, it's just like a lion in the forest. It cries out against me. I done did everything I can, but still they're rebelling and they hate me. Go ahead and read.
Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird.
Go ahead.
The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour.
So just like a speckled bird, you don't fit nowhere. So all the other birds turn against you. Get in among other people and see what happens. You get the same treatment. Go ahead.
Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard.
Oh, so who destroyed the vineyards in the first place? Pastors. The ones that the Lord sent to teach this people for him. They hijacked his creation. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. Go ahead and read.
They have trod my portion underfoot.
Go ahead.
They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness.
A desolate wilderness. Don't nobody know nothing. You don't know where to go. You don't know what God requires of you no more. You go and you tell you're going to go to heaven. And you're going to go to hell. Then they're going to tell you that people are in heaven and people in hell. Then they're going to turn around and tell you it's going to be a judgment day. Wait a minute. How can I be in a place if I ain't been judged yet? You tell me that Sister Molly is dead, but then you're going to tell me she's in heaven looking down on you. Sisters and brothers, the people are wilderness. They don't know what to believe. Go ahead and read.
They have made it desolate, and being desolate, it mourneth unto me. The whole land is made desolate, because no man layeth it to heart.
So he done destroyed the people, not only our land and given it to somebody. It's destroyed. He destroying us because ain't nobody paying attention to what's going on. Ain't nobody thinking. Go ahead and read.
The spoilers are come upon all high places through the wilderness. For the sword of the Lord shall devour from the one end of the land even to the other end of the land. No flesh shall have peace.
So the Lord said the spoilers going to come up. And he brought the spoilers up on Israel, sisters and brothers. And I mean, they didn't leave nobody in the land. I mean, none, sisters and brothers. In 700 BC, the Assyrians came and took out the 9 tribes and left 3 intact. And those are the ones that they call the lost tribes of Israel. Because Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, we're going to show you, always had somebody that knew who he was. But we're going to sure find out they knew too, but they call lost because we don't know where they are. The spoilers. So we're going to deal with the Roman spoiler or what's dealing with Judah right now. Let's go into Luke, the 19th chapter. And let's see what Jesus said. Because this people have rebelled against him, he said, I have given them my beloved to the spoilers. They're going to come in and they're going to take everything you got and you ain't going to get nothing. They're going to work you and you ain't going to get paid. You're tired and beat up and ain't got nothing to show for it. And Jesus saw this is the end of it. See, this prophecy was made and it was carried out in layers. The 9 went out. Then you turn around and then the 3 went out. This is what people don't understand. They say, well, we know we in America. And you think about coming from Africa. But when the Lord scattered you, he scattered you a whole lot of places. And then the brothers are in Africa. They said, well, we got scattered by the Assyrians. Yeah, that was in the beginning. But where did you end up? This is what counts. Because that's where the Lord going to find you at. But let's deal with the spoiler that's called the Roman Empire. And Jesus warned us about it. He knew what was going to happen. We're going to start at verse 41. Luke 19 and 41. Okay, read it.
And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes.
He said, if only you had known, even this day, Jesus, look, they could have repented then and could have got some of the pressure off of them. But he said, you don't know because you don't care. He said, now it's hid from your eyes. Go ahead.
For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side.
He said, so your enemy's going to cast a trench around you and going to keep you in on any side, go on every side. Go ahead and read.
And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation.
Now, when Jesus was here on earth, he told Judah that they're going to come when your enemy going to cast a trench around you, and they're going to lay you even with the ground. They ain't going to leave one stone upon another. Sisters and brothers, that's happened already. Let me show you what had happened is. The Romans did that.
Your son, victory.